Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football for a second video today, a bonus video today, but I had to do a live stream today because there's just so much like Man United transfer news coming out today. There's a lot about Raphael Varane and a lot of people are confused because is this news reliable? Where is it coming from? Is this still happening? Is this still not happening? So I thought, you know what? I know there's a Euro game going on right now. I know Spain-Switzerland is going on right now. But there's a bigger game later in Belgium, Italy, and I thought, you know what, I've got to do a live today. So please hit that like button, subscribe down below, share this video, and all of that. But yeah, massive news on Raphael Varane to Manchester United and all of that. I will be talking about that. First things first, Declan Rice links. Rice wanted, you know, the Rice Camavinga situation. You know, obviously we've got Tom Heaton, blah, 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 no one cares. Sancho's the first real signing. Varane looks like to be the second real signing, but who's going to be this third real signing? Could it be Declan Rice now? News about Lingard departure, all of that. I will cover that. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's new contract. I think we all knew that he was getting a new contract. Mata staying and Diallo leaving is the situation. I'm not too happy on that, so I will talk about that. Lee Grant to stay. Phil Jones won't be sold. He's unsellable. Dalot's future we'll talk about. We're talking about Bruno and Pogba's new contract. De Gea wanted to stay and fighting for his place. Martial set to stay. And we will talk a little bit about England, Ukraine, tomorrow. But as always, guys, slap that like button, subscribe down below, share this video. Any questions you have for me, of course, pop them down below in the live chat and all of that. But yeah, the Spain-Switzerland game is currently going on, so feel free to keep me updated on that. I would watch the game, but there's a lot of news to cover, and I said I was going to do a stream, so I've got to do a stream. I'll be buying a CDM. Well, I will get into the roundings, but let me cover this. There is a chance Man United will buy CDM as their third signing. I think if Pogba goes, if Van der Beek goes, we'll buy CDM. I think if we don't sell players, maybe if Dean Henderson goes, we get 30 million for Dean Henderson, we'll get a CDM. But I think a CDM really depends on how much money we get in outs. So we know it's Sancho's done. We know we're very likely to get Varane, and in that third signing could be a 20, 30 million pound signing. But if you can get 20 million for Lingard, it could go to a 40, 50 million pound signing. So the possibility of us getting a CDM, I think, does depend on outs, but there is some strong links to Camavinga. There's some links to Varane, and of course I will cover them and tell you where it's from. Is it reliable? And all of that. Andrew's hoping for an England-Italy final. You know what? I hope for the same. I think that will be a fantastic final. Now we need a centre-back and a CDM to win the league. I agree, and that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in today's video, the centre-back and the CDM situation at Manchester United. So some pretty credible sources have come out and made a lot of comments about Raphael Varane and his future. I covered a little bit of the comments made in yesterday's live stream, but what I'm trying to do is I'm only trying to read out what tier 1 and tier 2 sources are saying about Raphael Varane, and the Madrid source, because obviously I'm not a genius when it comes to Real Madrid. I know my Man United sources, I don't know my Madrid sources, but the Madrid zone, they did this sort of tier list, and they're telling us how reliable these journalists are in credibility to Real Madrid. So I'm looking at what the credible Real Madrid journalists having said about the Varane transfer news and all of that, and every indication is that Varane won't sign a new contract, that Varane will leave Real Madrid. And I always felt like, you know, there's always a part of me that feels like, you know what, I wouldn't be surprised if Varane just went and signed a new contract at Madrid. But all the reliable sources are saying, look, Varane's going to come to the Premier League, he's going to come to United, like, he's not staying at Real Madrid. And the one thing about Raphael Varane's situation is it kind of reminds me of the Donny van de Beek situation. You know, last summer we got linked to Grealish, we got linked to Bellingham, we got linked to Van de Beek. It was pretty obvious we were going to bring in the midfielder. But Van de Beek was, you know, the one that we got linked to a lot, but we all thought it was going to be Grealish. You know, we got linked to Varane a lot, but right at the start, you know, I'm talking back in January, February, we all thought it'd be Koundé. And then the Varane rumours heat up. And then we signed Sancho, and then all of a sudden we think we might be getting Varane, but we're not sure. And then the Varane rumours just boom out of nothing. Like, they're really big now, really credible sources saying it's going to happen. And then all we know, in 2-3 days' time, United could sign Varane, because that's kind of what happened with Donny van de Beek. Or in a week's time, Varane stays at Real Madrid, mugs us off and signs a new contract, because we know Varane wants a big wage thing. But what has been said about Raphael Varane? Of course, I'm going to tell you all the news on Varane and then address some live chats on then talk about the other news and maybe talk about the Euros. So all of this information has come from tier 1 journalists. The Madrid zone says these are all tier 1 journalists when it comes to Real Madrid news. They say that Mark Ogden obviously said yesterday Man United are finalising a deal for Raphael Varane. Simon Stone of the BBC said Man United have contacted Real Madrid to sign Raphael Varane, and they could sign him for 58 million euros. Now, Simon Stone is a very, very reliable journalist for Man United and in general. 58 million euros, about 45 million pounds. Paul Hurst says Manchester United have officially opened talks with Raphael Varane. Real Madrid offered Rafael Varane a new contract, which involves a pay cut, but Varane refused. All of that. The BBC said they think Man United will sign Varane. BBC obviously pretty credible. And then Julian Maynard, a pretty credible journalist, said that Manchester United and Real Madrid are in advanced talks for Rafael Varane. Nothing is signed yet, but the talks have progressed in the last few hours. So apparently we're in advanced talks with Varane. It could be a situation when we get these personal terms sorted with Varane, and in the next couple of weeks we get the signing done. Now, there's two situations I think this could pan out. I think from Fabrizio Romano said, obviously the Donna transfers, United are going to go all out for Varane. It's very unlikely Varane stays at Real Madrid. Fabrizio Romano said Varane to PSG is impossible. PSG have Ramos. Varane's most likely destination is United. That's basically what Fabrizio Romano hinted and implied. He said that United will go all out for Varane, and he said Varane wants a new challenge. Now, this is the situation, in my opinion. If this is all true, and this has come from credible journalists, so I believe this is true, that Varane would like to come to Manchester United. He wants to leave Real Madrid. He wants a new challenge, and United will go all out for Varane. We've known that Man United are going to go in for Varane for a while. I feel we can get Varane. But my only fear is Varane says to United, I'm only coming for 400k a week. United go, you know what, he's using us for wages and pull out. I think that is the only instance where I think, could this Varane deal, go a bit iffy and all of that. I think that is the one negative. Is Varane going to use us for a big pay rise? That is the one thing that worries me. However, the news that's come out today, now let's talk about today's news, guys. So the news come out today is from Rodrigo Fez with ESPN, and according to Real Madrid fans, he's really, really reliable when it comes to Real Madrid news. He says that Rafael Varane is in talks with Manchester United and a deal should be closed within the next 2 weeks for around 50 million euros. Real Madrid offered him a new contract. He rejected him. So this source, according to Real Madrid fans, is a very, very reliable source. Rodrigo Fez works for ESPN. Apparently, he's tier 1 Madrid news. And he said Varane and Man United are in talks. A deal should be closed in the next 2 weeks for around 50 million euros. He's saying Varane won't stay at Real Madrid. Varane is in talks with United. United will get him in the next 2 weeks for 50 million euros. And this guy is apparently a very, very credible journalist. He's up there. Fabrizio Romano is the guy that does, here we go, the deal's done. But apparently this guy's like, when it comes to Madrid news, he's pretty reliable. There's a lot of reliable journalists out there, but I think we all believe Fabrizio Romano just because of his here we goes and all of that. The journalist J. Felix Diaz, who again, according to the Madrid, is a reliable journalist, also said that Real Madrid have authorised Rafael Varane's agent to negotiate with Manchester United and close an agreement and then pass it on to the Spanish club to discuss terms of United. I think Real Madrid have accepted the fact that Rafael Varane won't stay and they will not want to sell Varane on the free. And as reported yesterday by Jan, for Varane, if they know he's not going to stay, so they can invest that money in someone like Kylian Mbappe, who obviously has come out and said that he wants to leave PSG. Now, David Ornstein, a very, very reliable journalist. I'm sure you guys are aware of David Ornstein. He does a lot of Man United stuff, very, very credible. He was the first English journalist to actually, say that Sancho deal was done. I think he said the Sancho deal was done before Romano did his here we go. Now, David Ornstein said there's a very, very good chance of Varane coming to Manchester United. He believes it will happen. So that is big, big news. And then Jan gave news about Marca, based news about Varane that's come from Marca, saying that Real Madrid understand Varane wants to leave, and on the basis they are working on the solution, they will demand 50 million euros. So all these stories that say Real Madrid want 80, 70 million quid for Varane, that's bullshit. We know from our tier 1 journalists, United can get Varane for 50 million euros, which is like 40, 43, 44 million quid. So you're thinking, wait, Man United are going to sign Sancho and Varane for the same amount of money Arsenal brought Pepe and Ben White for. And if you think that, you are absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct. So to the Arsenal fans that think we've overpaid for Sancho, sit down. That's all I'm going to say. Sit down. And then Konstantin Ecker. Now, Konstantin Ecker, very, very reliable journalist, does work for the BBC Times, all of that. He says that he believes Rafael Varane to Man United will happen, and he says United mean business, this transfer window. So that is some big, big news coming in about Varane to Manchester United. All these reliable journalists saying they believe this deal will happen in the next 2 weeks. United are in talks with Varane. Varane won't stay. Talks going on. 50 million euros looks likely. All these reliable journalists saying that Varane to Man United is close. As we know of right now, Man United and Varane are in talks. Maybe they're going to agree personal terms in the next couple of days. Fabrizio Romano might tweet in 3 days' time they've agreed personal terms. There's still a possibility United won't sign Varane. It's not like, I can't say it's 100% going to happen, but from all the indication I'm getting, 90%, back to 90% club. A lot of indication that this Varane deal could happen. I think personal terms will happen, then United and Real Madrid will agree on a fee, but I think it'll be a lot easier to agree a fee for Varane because he's going to be about £40 million. So it won't be like the Dortmund situation where we're working on 80 million for ages. I think United will just pay the money, 40 million, get Varane done and all of that. Of course, I will address some of the comments in the live chat and all of that. Any questions for me, please do put them down below. MD says he would love Varane in United if he signs regardless of a CDM signing. We should challenge for a Premier League title. That's a good thought and all of that. You know, even if we don't get a CDM, do you think Varane and Sancho is enough? Because there's a part of me that goes, yeah and no. Because McFred can't win you a Premier League. You know McFred in the pivot can't win you a Premier League. But Pogba and Fred in the pivot, could that win you a Premier League? I actually rate Fred. Pogba and McTominay in the pivot, could that win you a Premier League? Pogba and Donny, probably a bit too forward line. I think realistically, we need a good player in the pivot to get the best out of Pogba. But I do think, I did a video today on Raphael Varane actually. Raphael Varane adds pace to that back line. He adds experience, so we could play a more attacking brand of football. You know, we play two CDMs very, very deep. Pogba has to play very, very deep for United to protect Lindelof. I guess if you sign Varane, it does improve the midfield. You know, if we sign a top quick centre back, it actually improves the midfield. But I still think United would need a CDM if they wanted to, you know, really push for the Premier League title. I think, as I said before on this channel, games for me are won and lost in midfield. And I think if United really wanted to challenge for a title, they'd have to go all out for a CDM, I think. But yeah, it's a good question and all of that. Sancho says he really hopes we drop interest in Pau Torres Switzerland score because of this Lindelof type of mistake. Yeah, no, I think Varane looks very, very likely. You know, I don't think United will be getting Pau Torres. I think Varane looks very, very likely. Sadiq Rahman says nothing at United will change unless the fans can own a class voting shares at United. Own class A voting shares at United. Fair enough. Who would you want to sign a CDM above anyone else? Basuma, Locatelli, and Didi, Rice, or Sakari? I mean, my first choice would be Wilfred and Didi, but you know, I just don't want to do transfers with Leicester and all of that. And Andrew says, can't think of a Champions League or Premier League winning side in recent memory who did not have a top class DM, and we don't have a prime age natural one in the squad. Exactly. Look, Matic is a CDM, but you know, he's way past it and all of that. So yeah, I agree. I think the situation is I think it is Sancho's done, Varane next, possibly a CDM. Look, there is Declan Rice news. I'm going to talk about the Declan Rice news. Do I believe the Declan Rice news? Look, it's come from decent journalists. I'd be surprised if we signed Declan Rice because I think unless Paul Pogba goes, I can't see us signing Declan Rice. But let me actually talk about the Declan Rice news while we're on the topic of Declan Rice. So Samuel Luckhurst works for the Manchester Evening News, you know, gets a bit of information for United, probably put them in tier 2, says a swap deal for Jesse Lingard and Declan Rice would include a significant cash supplement for Manchester United. He said that Declan Rice is keen on Manchester United and asked Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw about the club during England's squad training in March together, but in this window it is almost impossible to see United investing in Rice without a major player sale. So what he's saying is what we kind of know. Fabrizio Romano said United would like a midfielder, but it depends on who they sell. Samuel Luckhurst has said, look, we can use Jesse Lingard to lower the price of Declan Rice, but we'll only get Declan Rice, I think, if we sell a player. If Donny goes, we get Declan Rice. If Pogba goes, we get Declan Rice. If Dino goes, we get 30-40 million for Dino, we get Declan Rice. I think we'd have to get, I think Lingard's going to get 25 million, but I think we'd also need another 25 million to raise 50 million. And I think that's how we get Declan Rice because, you know, Sancho's 77 million, Varane 40 million. Let's round that up to about 120 million spent. I think our net spend is going to be 150 million. So, yeah, I think the situation with Declan Rice and with United getting a CDM is if we sell players, we'll get a CDM. And, you know, it's Sancho, it's Varane. And then our third signing is really about outs. You know, does Dino go? Does Martial go? Does Dalot go? Does Pereira go? And let's talk about the outs. Let's talk about the new contract situation before I get into some more comments. But Mata's staying at United. Look, Mata's a great player. He's a great servant to the club. I like Juan Mata, fantastic player. But why is he staying at United? Because when he plays for United, he plays on the right wing. We've just signed a right wing. Mata barely got any game time last year. We've now signed Sancho, so he's going to get less game time, but we've given him a 1-year new deal when he's not going to get any better. You know, that I don't get that because, look, Donny can fill in on the right if we need Donny to fill in on the right. Dan James can play on the right. Rashford can play on the right. Greenwood can play on the right. Amad Diallo can play on the right. I play them all over Juan Mata. So I don't get why we've given Juan Mata a contract extension, and I don't get why we've given Lee Grant a contract extension. We've just signed Tom Heaton. Wasn't Tom Heaton meant to be Lee Grant's replacement? Is now Tom Heaton Sergio Romero's replacement? I don't know. And then also other news. Apparently United will be unable to sell Phil Jones this summer. Great. Fucking brilliant. So we can be all happy saying we've signed Sancho, we're going to get Varane. We can be all happy, but at the end of the day, there's still a big problem at Man United about Deadwood blocking player growth. Because for me, if I had a choice of subbing on Amad Diallo or Mata when we needed a goal, I would sub on Amad Diallo. But Oli clearly would sub on Mata. And Amad Diallo is apparently going to go out on loan. And you know what? Now Mata's staying, I want Diallo to go out on loan because Diallo needs game time. Diallo will be a baller. I have a feeling about Diallo, and I think he will be a top player. But that annoys me because my vision was Sancho's the first choice right winger, Amad's the second choice. Cavani's the first choice striker, Greenwood's the second choice, Martial's the third choice. Rashford's first choice left winger, Greenwood's the second. Martial's second choice left winger. Those 6 players can cover those 3 spots. You don't need Mata. We don't really need Dan James. And if worse comes to worse, Pogba and Donny could do an odd game on the wing. We've got 3-4 different players that can play striker. Even Rashford can play striker. For me, I don't get why we've given Mata a new contract. I think it's stupid. As someone said, I think we are completely wasting wages on Mata. Sachin says, if Lingard wants to get into the World Cup squad, he needs first team football, which we can't offer. Exactly. If I was Jesse Lingard, as much as Jesse Lingard loves Man United, I would leave. If I was Jesse Lingard, I would personally leave Man United because he needs the game time. He needs the game time because he's not going to play at United. He's going to be Jesse Van der Bench. He's going to be Jesse Van der Bench if he stays at Man United. So you're absolutely correct with your comment. Daniel Fellham says he reckons Locatelli will go to Arsenal. I heard they're linked to him as well. I mean, Arsenal could get Locatelli, but like this is the thing. Arsenal have been linked to loads of players and they're losing their main transfer target to Villa. Like no one wants to go to Arsenal. Do you think Locatelli's going to want to go to Arsenal when he's got an offer from Juventus? Fuck no. Like Arsenal's first choice target was Ben Buendia. He went. Their second choice target is Ben White. And Ben White probably would rather stay at Brighton. And then they're linked to Basuma. That's kind of gone dead. They've got these players from Anderlecht and Sporting Lisbon. The only signings Arsenal can really make are players from outside the top 5 leagues because I don't really know anyone that wants to go to Arsenal. So look, as close as Arsenal are to Locatelli, why the fuck would you go to Arsenal? I mean, also, I don't get that Arsenal just signed Thomas Partey. Like, surely they need a creator more. Like, obviously, I'm not an Arsenal fan, you know. Some Arsenal fans think United need a striker, and as a Man United fan, I don't think Arsenal need a CDM that much. I think they need a box-to-box midfield. I think you play Partey deep, you need a box-to-box. But I don't really know. I don't think Locatelli will go to Arsenal. I don't think he would. Please do hit that like button if you haven't already. Only 62 likes needed for 100 likes. George Kessler says, did someone from Saudi Arabia recently made Mata an offer, still trying to figure out the logic of him staying? Look, this is the thing. And for Juan Mata, maybe he loves Man United and all of that. And he loves, you know, like his friends and all of that. But Juan Mata's good enough to be playing a bit more. Like, Ashley Young left Man United and he went to Inter Milan and he played a good few games for Inter Milan. Like, Mata could do, I think Mata could get into that, some of the teams in Serie A and play more regularly. I think he would suit Serie A, but like he wants to stay and be on the bench. And I don't personally get that and all of that, but yeah. And Nick Morris says he thinks the Mata extension is for experience and then coaching, as Gright has a one-year new deal with Heaton signing, and that one of De Gea and Henderson's being sold. One of De Gea and Henderson is being sold. This is the situation. You can't really sell De Gea because of his wages. And I feel like Henderson's going to be number 1 next season. I have a feeling Henderson's going to be 1 next season. But the news coming out today is that De Gea wants to stay. He doesn't want to leave Man United. He believes he should be first choice. If you're going to sell one of De Gea and you're going to sell one of Henderson, I think you can get money for Dean Henderson because he's younger on less wages. So I think personally, I think you'd have to sell that. And Sachin says Locatelli will go to Juventus. Italian players don't usually go abroad, and you make a very, very solid point. This guy says he's so happy for United fans. Obviously, yeah, getting Sancho over the line. Varane very, very close and all of that. Nick Morris says Ben White is now wanted by Everton. They can be ready to pay him more than Arsenal can. Look, Arsenal missed out on Buendia to Villa, and they could miss out on Ben White to Everton, like missing out on their first 2 choices. Like, they are really banter FC. And the thing that makes me laugh about Arsenal and Arsenal fans is Arsenal fans are trying to like laugh at us. Like, Arsenal, you're not even in European football, let alone the Champions League next year. You finished 8th 2 seasons in a row. You lost your main choice target to Villa. You've lost another. You might lose your second choice target to Everton. Why are you laughing at us signing Sancho? You brought Pepe for the same price. You're just idiots. You're not. They're not on the same level as us. It's like you don't see. Aston Villa fans laughing at United signing Sancho, and Aston Villa are probably a better team than Arsenal. I always get surprised why Arsenal try and banner us, honestly. Well done for signing Sancho. Sancho is a big signing for Manchester United. I did a video today, a short 4-minute video, talking about the impact Sancho and Varane would have at Man United. So feel free to check out that video after this live stream, as I did do a short video about the impact Sancho and Varane will have at Manchester United and all of that. And if you've just joined the live stream, I'm giving you the latest updates on the Varane, the CDM situation, and all of that. And the situation going on right now is that Raphael Varane to Manchester United is very, very likely. Talks are going on. Manchester United can get him for 50 million euros. All the Tier 1 journalists have said they don't see Raphael Varane staying at Real Madrid. And the majority of the Tier 1 journalists believe that Raphael Varane will sign for Manchester United in the next 2 weeks, as the deal is being worked on for around 50 million euros. So everyone that's Tier 1 and Tier 2 regarding Real Madrid news has said United are in for Varane. United are going to go all out for Varane. They believe Varane will go to United. They believe this deal will happen for 50 million euros. And this is credible journalists. You know, Fabrizio Romano said a month ago, Man United will sign Sancho, then go all out for Varane. And I think that's the situation. The situation still stays that Varane wants to leave Real Madrid. Real Madrid will sell Varane now. They will take 50 million euros. There's a lot of indication from Tier 1 journalists that the deal will happen. Rodrigo Fez from ESPN and the Madrid Zone said that this guy is a Tier 1 journalist when it comes to Real Madrid news. Says that Real Madrid, it says that Rafael Varane is in talks with Manchester United and the deal should be closed in the next 2 weeks for around 50 million euros. So this Tier 1 journalist from Madrid news says he believes Rafael Varane to join Man United in the next 2 weeks. Apparently Real Madrid offered him a new contract, but he rejected him. So every Tier 1 journalist is saying Rafael Varane won't be staying at Real Madrid. He's rejected it. All the Tier 1 journalists saying they believe he's going to go to Man United. It's impossible for him to go to PSG now. They've signed Ramos. Man City don't really need a centre-back. Chelsea haven't expressed too much of an interest. For me, there's two situations. I think we get Varane, or A, he stays at Real Madrid with bumper wages. B, Chelsea hijack. Or C, United, he only goes to United for big wages. But I think, you know, the indication of us getting Varane is very, very strong. Obviously, it's not done. It's not finalised. We haven't even agreed personal terms with him yet. But all the Tier 1 journalists are saying they believe Raphael Varane to Manchester United will happen. And, you know, they were right about Sancho. They're right about a lot of news. So you have to take that news with a bit of excitement that the Varane deal could definitely happen. Please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're not subscribed to the channel. I do daily Manchester United news. If you want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, please do subscribe. The second we get a breakthrough on Raphael Varane, if Raphael Varane becomes a Manchester United player, I'll be live as soon as that news comes out. You know, if the Varane deal's done, I'll go live. The second we get the Varane deal done, I'll go live. If the Varane deal falls through, I'll go live to update you. If we sign a player, I'll go live. So if you want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, please do subscribe. I'm talking about a little bit on Manchester United news. You know, Matt's staying, Grant's staying, Phil Jones could be staying, all of that. There's obviously the Varane indication, but we want to talk about Paul Pogba. Paul bloody Pogba. Now, this is the situation that I believe. We've been told United, Fabrizio Romano said it on his podcast last night. He's now got a podcast on Twitch. He says Manchester United will not sell Paul Pogba this summer. They will keep him and risk losing on a free the following summer because they maybe believe that they can convince him to stay. Now, Manchester United have opened talks with Paul Pogba, trying to get Paul Pogba to stay for another year. I think signing Sancho, signing Varane and getting that third player in is real business, because if Paul Pogba sees we've signed Sancho and we signed Varane, two top quality players, I think he could stay because, you know, the only club Paul Pogba can go to right now is PSG. And do you really want to play in the French league? It's dead. You know, Juventus are a worse club than Man United right now. Juventus scraped top 4 in the Serie A, which is 10 times easier than the Premier League. Real Madrid have come third. They've lost Ramos. They've lost Varane. They need a real rebuild. They can't even afford Paul Pogba. Like, Paul Pogba's in a situation where, you know what? Now we signed Sancho, now we signed Varane. His best option could be staying at Manchester United because we've got a team that can go somewhere. I look at this Manchester United team. I think it's better than Juventus right now. I think it's better than Real Madrid right now. Obviously, they've got better owners, so they'll be better in the next few years. But I think Paul Pogba could stay at Manchester United and all of that. We know that Paul Pogba won't be using the Varane deal. We know that Man United have open talks with Paul Pogba. But I think the situation is Paul Pogba will stay if he thinks Man United are going to win trophies. And signing Varane and signing Sancho are two statement signings that are going to win you trophies. We're not doing an Arsenal. We're going for Buendia and Ben White as our right wing and our centre back. We're going for Sancho and Varane because we are level ahead. You know, statement signings and all of that. And David Ornstein, a very reliable journalist, said on Rafael Varane, the interest from Manchester United is not new. It's something they've been looking at for a while. There was also interest from PSG, but they signed Ramos, so they won't go for both. And, you know, David Ornstein said that Pogba would not be involved in the Rafael Varane agreement, you know, and all that. And we know from Sky that Manchester United are going to go all out to see if they can to keep Pogba. So yeah, Arsenal lost transfers to Aston Villa and Everton, and their fans have the audacity to talk to us. Exactly. Please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Please share the video, hit that like button, subscribe down below. All of that, giving you the latest on Varane, Declan Rice, Camavinga, and all of that. The latest on Camavinga, now the links to Camavinga were pretty strong, but the latest on Camavinga to Manchester United is pretty much that. Like, if we sell a player, we will go for Camavinga, possibly. You know, we like Camavinga, we're interested in him. We could maybe get him for £40 million because he's got 1 year left. If Camavinga wants United, if United can raise the funds by maybe selling Jesse Lingard and Deadwood, they'll go for Camavinga. But we are interested in Camavinga. He is a top priority and all of that. So I think the situation is we've signed Sancho. I think the next 2 weeks will be Varane talk. It will be Alice Talks Varane on the channel. Try and get the Varane deal over the line in the next 2 weeks. Sancho's done, Varane over the line in the next 2 weeks, and then I think it will be Camavinga, maybe Tavernier, maybe a right back situation, and probably the Pogba future. I think that is how the summer is pretty much going to go. Any questions for me, please do pop them down below in the live chat. I'm going to try and read out as many questions in the live chat as possible. So any questions for me, guys, please pop them down below and all of that. Varane is coming, very confident. Comment down below. You know what? I said Sancho was coming a month ago. I said a month ago Sancho will join Man United this summer. I can't see it not happening. And I had a list of reasons a month ago why I told you the deal would happen this summer and why I was so confident it wouldn't fall through. I'm confident Varane's going to sign, and I think we're going to get Varane this summer. But I can't sit here and say we're going to get Varane. Trust me. Like, you know how I sat there and I said, we're going to get Sancho. Trust me. Like, I believe we're going to get Sancho. And I gave you a list of reasons why I believe we're going to sign Sancho this summer, because I would put money on us signing Sancho. Look, I could put 50 quid on us signing Varane, but I wouldn't put £1,000 on us signing Varane. A month ago, I'd have put £1,000 on us signing Sancho. So I think we're in a situation where I believe that there's a high chance we'll get Varane, but I can't say right now that it's going to happen. Like, I could say Sancho was going to happen because I had so many indications that it could happen. You don't know with Varane because you don't know with Varane, but I think it's a very likely deal to happen, and I do have this feeling that Manchester United will sign Varane, but I'm not going to go out and say we're going to sign him until we get like a very. If Fabrizio Romano says we're going to sign Varane, then I'll say we're going to sign Varane. If Fabrizio Romano says the deal's very close, I'll say we're going to sign Varane. If you get what I'm saying and all of that. Any questions for me? Please do pop them down below in the live chat. And all of that. Glazers and Mina are out. I agree. Daniel Fleming says, I'm surprised Manchester United have put in an offer for Rice as he rejected 2 contracts from West Ham, according to the Telegraph. Yeah, Declan Rice is rejecting contract offers at West Ham. Manchester United do want him, but as reported, Man United want Rice. We like Rice. Rice has spoken to Maguire and Luke Shaw about moving to Manchester United. As I said time and time again, Manchester United will only sign Declan Rice if we get money in out. So I think us signing Declan Rice really depends on who leaves the club this summer. But I think it's a player that I think a lot of us fans would like to see, of course. Nick Morris says, we get Varane in next. That will keep Pogba having another Frenchman in the squad. The rumours of them falling out the other day is just good news, as it shows how much they both care about winning. Exactly. You know, and you know what? Paul Pogba might not want to go to Real Madrid now if they get Mbappe, because Mbappe robbed them of 10 assists in Euro 2020. That is a joke, by the way, guys. But yeah, Andrew says that given that we are not credibly linked to Koundé, I'm a bit worried at centre-back if we don't get Varane, not loving most of the alternatives. This is a solid point for Andrew, but I believe we are going to get Raphael Varane now. Like, there's a part that I can't say we're 100% going to get him, because if he stays at Real Madrid and it falls through, I'm not surprised. If United bottle it, I'm not surprised. You know, my expectations for Man United transfer windows are pretty low. But the situation was a month ago that Man United were going to go all out for Varane, and then Koundé was our backup. Now, Koundé isn't our backup anymore. Our backup is Pau Torres. So if we don't get Varane, I don't want Pau Torres. I don't think he's good enough. I think Koundé is a great player, but I don't want Pau Torres as our backup. So I think it is really important that we get Varane, because there's a big drop-off from Varane to Pau Torres. Like, whenever I watch Pau Torres play, he's okay, but he's never been like, I've never watched Pau Torres play and be like, that's who we should sign. You know, I've watched Varane play, I've watched Koundé play, and I thought, you know what? This guy's going to work with Maguire. I think Pau Torres, I don't think he's going to be much of an improvement on Lindelof. I really don't think he'd be much of an improvement on Lindelof. Please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. If you want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news A tier 1 source has said Man United and Rafael Varane are in talks. They believe a deal will be closed within the next 2 weeks for around 50 million euros. So we could get a here we go from Fabrizio Romano, Varane to Manchester United in the next 2 weeks. And all the credible sources are saying it's very, very likely that Varane will join Manchester United this summer. So if you want to stay up to date with all the latest news on Rafael Varane to Manchester United, please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football. Share the video and all of that. If we sign Varane, when personal terms are agreed, when we get our here we go, I'll be live. So if we sign Varane, I'll be live to tell you. If we're about to sign Varane, I'll be live to tell you. If we don't sign him, I'll be live to tell you. So if you want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, of course, subscribe to the channel. Varane is a 50-50. We've got a long way to go. I think Varane is a 50-50, but I think it's more of a 70-30 now because of all the indications from the tier 1 journalists. Jadon Sanchez says, with how Murta is working, we can clearly see how bad Ed Woodward is. I mean, I think it was a lot. I think anyone could have done a better job than Ed Woodward, but no, I'll give credit to Murta because, you know, I think we've done pretty well in transfer money. We got that Sancho deal done for £73 million. We've got, you know, Raphael Varane coming in for £45 million, and we could get 2 key players before pre-season. Ollie's first, Fabrizio Romano said a month ago, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants Jadon Sancho and Raphael Varane. If Murta delivers Ole Gunnar Solskjaer his first 2 choice signings before pre-season, you have to give it to Murta. You know, as much as I think, you know, we don't have the best people running the club, he'll be, you know, Woodward never did that. Woodward never gave a manager their 2 first choice signings before pre-season. So yeah, 100% you'd have to give Murta all that. Sport is saying that Real Madrid and Manchester United have begun to negotiate for Rafael Varane, which confirms that the Madrid club has already thrown the towel in and assumed Varane will not renew at the Bernabeu. This has gone from Sport, tier 2 source, so do take that with a pinch of salt, but they said that apparently Man United and Real Madrid negotiations for Rafael Varane have already begun and all of that. If you guys are watching the Switzerland-Spain game, please do let me know and all about the score. Would I take Ronaldo for 25 million? Now, a lot of people believe Man United are going to get Ronaldo. And this, look, this is what I say. United signed Sancho. We're probably going to get Varane, and there's going to be a third signing. Is that first signing Trippier? Is it Tavernier? Is it Max Aarons? Is it Camavinga? Is it Declan Rice? Is it Ronaldo? I can't tell you who that third signing is going to be, but it's going to be It's going to be, sorry, why am I saying Pogba? It's going to be Sancho, that's done. Tom Heaton, that's done, but we don't care. I think it's Varane next, and I think it is one more signing. Look, will I take Ronaldo for 25 million? Yes, but only if we got a CDM. Look, if I had a choice of Ronaldo for 25 million or CDM for 25 million, as much as I love Ronaldo, I get a CDM because I do not want to see Midfield next season. Camavinga could cost us 40 million quid because he's got 1 year left on his deal. Like Varane, Camavinga and Varane, we could get for 80 million for the 2 of them. We could get Camavinga and Varane for the same price we paid for Harry Maguire because they have 1 year left on their deal. And as much as I love Cristiano Ronaldo, I would rather get a CDM, someone to play next to Pogba, because, you know, we don't want to be seeing Muckfred in the team. I think most Man United fans can agree on that. I think we can agree on that. Any questions for me, please do put them down below in the live chat. I'm going to try and read out as many questions as possible. So if you have any questions about Manchester United transfer news and more, please do put them down below. Apparently Switzerland have been very, very unlucky, and they've actually been playing better than Spain. Obviously I watched a little bit of the game, but obviously I'm live, so I'm not watching the game and all of that. But yeah, Sancho thinks that Rice, Bruno, Pogba would be a brilliant midfield. And, you know, people are sceptical about Declan Rice. Has he been fantastic for England? No. But he's playing with Calvin Phillips. You know, he's not playing with Pogba. Look, I think Declan Rice will be overpriced, like Maguire is. Look, Maguire is a good signing. Maguire's a good centre-back, but we paid way too much money for him. I think to get Declan Rice, he's like a Maguire. He's a good player. He's going to improve us. We do need a CDM, but whatever we get Rice for, we'll definitely overpay for him. I think there are better options abroad. I think Ndidi's better than Declan Rice. But what I say about Declan Rice is he doesn't contribute anything going forward. But that does not matter when you have Paul Pogba, Donny van de Beek, and Bruno Fernandes in your team. We literally need a CDM for the ability of just defending. And Calvin Phillips was absolutely fantastic versus Croatia. He was brilliant. But do you know why Calvin Phillips was so good for England versus Croatia? Because he was allowed that free roam role, because Declan Rice said, you know what, Calvin, I'll just protect the back four. I'll do all the defensive work. You get up the pitch and do that free roam role. Now, Declan Rice and Paul Pogba. Now, Paul Pogba is going to do a lot better in the free roam role than Calvin Phillips. You know, it doesn't take a genius to say that. Paul Kante says to Pogba, I'll do the defensive work, I'll be the engine, you go off. How good is Paul Pogba for France? Fantastic. So whether you like Declan Rice or not, Yes, he's going to be way too much money. I think if we get Declan Rice, he's worth 40 million, but we'll have to get him for 70 million, 100%. Like Maguire was 40 million, but we got him for 80 million. But he's definitely going to improve Paul Pogba. And he's definitely Rice, Pogba, Bruno, definitely in midfield for the future. And I'd love us to sign Declan Rice, but as we know, we won't sign Declan Rice unless unless we get 40 million for Dean Henderson, unless Pogba goes, unless Donny goes, or unless Martial goes. One of those 4 players I've listed needs to leave Man United for us to get Declan Rice. I think we could get a CDM that's cheaper than Declan Rice. I think Camavinga's £40 million, and you think you get 20 million for Lingard. You get that takes 20 million off Camavinga. That's 20 million for Camavinga, 40 million for Varane. That's 60 million, 70 million for Sancho, 60 for 70, 130 million. Net spend, boom, boom, boom. Those 3 players in. That is possible. Now, the rumour is that United are going to have a net spend of £150 million because of obviously the Glazer out protest that they want to spend. They've got that pressure on them. So, yeah, I think there's a possibility. But, yeah, I think Declan Rice would be a fantastic signing for Manchester United. Locatelli's not a CDM specialist. True. Locatelli can play CDM, but he isn't the CDM specialist that Declan Rice is. Now, the reason I say go for Locatelli is just for the pure fact that he's half the price of Declan Rice and he can do a job in CDM. And you've got to remember, we don't have a CDM, but I think Locatelli's a pivot player. Now, Locatelli in the pivot with Paul Pogba, Locatelli is good enough to do defensive responsibility. Paul Pogba can go forward. The thing is, if we want to play a 4-3-3, you need a Declan Rice, you need a Wilfred Ndidi. If you want to play a 4-3-3, you need a Declan Rice, you need Wilfred Ndidi. But I think Locatelli, Camavinga, SOLSKJAER, they're all players that can play in the pivot with Paul Pogba and do that Kante role, because Kante isn't actually an out-and-out CDM. He's kind of a pivot player, but with more defensive capability. If you really look at Kante, he does play box-to-box a lot. So 100%. Apparently, Sommer is having the game of his life for Switzerland. Everyone is saying. So I kind of wish I was watching this game. Apparently, he's made 8 to 9 saves. So brilliant game. But the Spain-Switzerland game going to the wire. Keep me updated on that. Someone says Fred better than Kante. I wish he was. But I'm personally not going to agree with that comment. Rice overpriced, Locatelli better. Yeah, I agree, to be fair. Andrew, I think Rice would be better for Man United if we keep Paul Pogba because of his defensive ability. As I said, I think Rice can lock Paul Pogba. Andrew says he thinks Rice has done well this tournament. A DM's job is not that easy on the eye, but he does everything well. Exactly. I think defensively, look how good England have been defensively. The defense has been pretty protected. You have to give Declan Rice some credibility for that. This guy says a 4-1-2-2-1 with Shaw, Maguire, Varane, Wan-Bissaka as the back four, Rice, Pogba, Fernandes, and then Rashford, Sancho, Greenwood. Look, I'd love to see that. To be fair. Penalty shootout, very, very close. There's a penalty shootout close in the game at Looning, and apparently Basuma would be a great alternative. Guys, what are your thoughts on Basuma? Let me know your thoughts on Basuma to Manchester United in the comments down below and all of that. David Ornstein did also make some more comments about Varane to Manchester United, saying he thinks negotiations will go on. He thinks it's close to happening, but there's a chance, they would want a favour back. Real Madrid, he also says that Real Madrid will be happy to do business with Manchester United on the right price. So they suspect a rumble along the summer, but it's a possibility, but the deal's not done yet. David Ornstein says he believes the deal will happen, but it's not done yet. So, we're still working on the Varane deal. But you know what? This time next week, Man United could have signed Varane. Like, France are out of the Euros, so this time next week, Varane could be a Man United player, or this time next week, we could be pissed off and getting told we're getting Pau Torres. It's an absolute mad one. Any comments, of course, pop them down below. I'm going to try and read out and reply to as many comments in the live chat. So any questions for me about transfers, any questions for me in general, any questions for me about Manchester United, do pop them down below. And all of that. But obviously the latest news coming in for all of you that have just joined the live stream is Mata staying, Grant staying, Heaton signed, Ahmed could be going on loan. Varane is looking likely to join Manchester United. Varane will not stay at Real Madrid. Varane to Manchester United very likely. United in for Declan Rice, but it depends on the future of Paul Pogba and Donny van de Beek, which they'll find out in the coming weeks. United still have a good eye on Camavinga. United still want a backup right back. After Varane, United will make a third signing. That is the news update latest on the Manchester United stuff. So yeah, only 42 likes needed for 100 likes as well. So if you haven't hit that like button, please do hit that like button and all of that. Stay up to date with the news. There was news about Brozovic to Manchester United, but I think that story pretty much got debunked. So if you're wondering about the Brozovic news, I think I'm not going to talk about Brozovic. I think boom. Other news coming in from the Manchester Evening News is that Ted and Mengi and Ethan Laird are both expected to embark on season-long loans, which is good. Obviously, Diallo could go on loan as well. I think there's a lot of players going out on loan. And apparently Jesse Lingard is expected to hold talks with Manchester United about his future as he's entered the last year of his contract. For me, sell Jesse Lingard. But you know what United are like. They don't like to say bye. We've given Mata a new contract. We've given Lee Grant a new contract. And for what? And for what? I agree with you. And all of that. Any questions for me, pop them down below in the live chat and stuff. And let's see what you guys say. It's penalties. So full-time Spain versus Switzerland. It is penalties now. So let me know what goes on the Spain versus Switzerland game as I am live. I should actually have the game on in the back. I could get the game on my laptop, but it would turn into a watch-along and all of that. But Spain versus Switzerland. Now, apparently Switzerland were actually the better team and they got mugged off by a really unlucky red card decision. We will talk about England, Ukraine. Actually, why we're here, like, I do want to talk about United news and all that, but why we're on the topic of the Euros, England versus Ukraine tomorrow, 8 o'clock Saturday. England should win that game. Like, it should be an easy path to the semi-final. For me, you know, Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, John Stones, undroppable. I don't really care who plays at right back. Pickford played really well. I think we need to go to a 4-3-3 versus Ukraine, because Ukraine are a team that are going to sit deep against us and they're going to park the bus, because Germany, you know, came and attacked us a bit for 20 minutes and then Germany was shy. Ukraine, I don't think they're going to come and attack us. I think they have some good players, Ukraine, but I don't think Ukraine has a better squad than Czech Republic. I don't think Ukraine has a better squad than many teams. So I'm about to say United. Like, England should definitely beat Ukraine. How are you guys feeling for that? Like, I think Grealish has to start. For me, England versus Ukraine, Grealish has to start. Like, that's all I'm going to say about that game. You know, look, you know what? Sterling's been brilliant. Play him on the right, but Jack Grealish for me has to start tomorrow. Like, a fantastic player, top player. He's got to play. He's got to play. I mean, if he doesn't play Jack Grealish, like, he changed the game. I said this on yesterday's live stream. This is no disrespect to Raheem Sterling. He's been one of England's best players. But look, how good was Luke Shaw when Jack Grealish came on? Because both those, Luke Shaw's created the most chances for England in this tournament. Yeah, you've got to remember. Luke Shaw's created the most chances for England in this tournament. Jack Grealish created the most chances in the Premier League per minute last season. Jack Grealish and Luke Shaw playing together on the left-hand side for England. Kane's going to get service. Jack Grealish comes on, all of a sudden 2 goals come from the left-hand side. It goes from Grealish to Shaw to Sterling, goal. From Shaw to Grealish to Kane, goal. Luke Shaw, Jack Grealish have to play on that left-hand side because they are the best chance creators in the England team. Luke Shaw last season, Jack Grealish created the most chances per minute last season. When they play together on the same side, all of a sudden Kane gets service. Put Sterling on the right because he's in form, but Grealish has to play on the left, and Luke Shaw looks better with Grealish. Like, for me, I don't know what you guys think about that. This guy says, if it was me, Rice swaps Lingard, I'd let Pogba leave and get Camavinga to replace him. Varane and Jones out of Diallo on loan in the Premier League. Fair enough. For me, I think Paul Pogba's irreplaceable, and I don't want to sell Paul Pogba. I just think he's one of them players. I look at Paul Pogba and I go, you are irreplaceable. So personally, myself, I wouldn't sell Paul Pogba, but if I had to sell Paul Pogba, I think you have to replace him with 2 players, and maybe Rice and Camavinga are the 2 players to replace him. I think Donny was sort of the half Paul Pogba replacement, but we haven't seen much of Donny. And I think one of the other reasons Manchester United massively need to sign a CDM is Donny and Matic look so much better than McFred. And even though we didn't see much of Donny and Matic, we played a better style of football, more attacking football, more on the front foot football with Donny and Matic, and we played a better style of football with Donny and Matic than we did with McFred. McFred doesn't allow us to play good football. But as soon as you get a CDM, and the reason Matic didn't play much last season is because he physically can't because he's old. The minute you get a good CDM, you can play better football. Whether it's Pogba doing a box-to-box role, whether it's Donny doing a box-to-box role, whether it's even Fred or McTominay doing the box-to-box role. I think Fred's biggest problem is McTominay. I think McTominay's biggest problem is Fred. Stick McTominay next to Declan Rice, he could look like Souček, you know? So I think it's so important that we get CDM because it just changes the way we play. You know, it makes us a better team, but, you know, it improves Pogba, it improves Donny, and you can play a better brand of football with a CDM. Please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you are new. To stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news, please do subscribe to all the latest Manchester United news. Varane to Manchester United, the deal is very, very close. And as I said earlier, all the Tier 1 journalists are reporting that they believe Varane will sign for Manchester United. They believe he'll leave Real Madrid. And as we got told yesterday, Manchester United are going all out for Rafael Varane, all out for Varane, and this deal could be done in the next 2 weeks. It's believed that this deal will be done in less than 2 weeks. However, you know, it's United, we're used to disappointment and all of that. You know, less reliable sources are saying stuff about Varane and him being 70 million, but all the Tier 1 journalists are saying Varane 40 million. Now, Sport One said that Goretzka's contract expires in 2022 and it's not yet been extended. However, he's pushing for a long-term contract at Bayern Munich and feels right at home in the city. So the news about Goretzka to Manchester United, I think Goretzka's generally just using Man United for a new contract. I think United would like Goretzka, but I don't think there's any chance Goretzka would leave Bayern Munich. So all of you wondering about Goretzka, that is the latest. He's pushing for a new contract at Bayern Munich. Dean Jones, a very, very reliable journalist, works with Bleachers Report and all of that. Dean Jones says that Solskjaer is expected to be handed a new contract in pre-season as Manchester United expect to build momentum with a squad that's unexpectedly finished second in the Premier League last season. So we kind of knew that Solskjaer's getting a new 3-year deal at Manchester United, and Dean Jones again said Manchester United's interest in Raphael Varane is genuine and there's been some slow negotiations, but he really wants to come. Just to make sure he really wants to come. So Man United negotiating slowly with Varane just to make sure he really wants to come, and it's not for wages. You know, with Dybala, we were in for Dybala, and the reason we didn't get Dybala is because we felt like he was coming for wages only, and I think that's what United are doing with Real Madrid. There's still some skepticism over whether he will truly leave Real Madrid, but United are in discussions over terms. So Dean Jones, a reliable journalist, yet again confirms United are in discussion with Rafael Varane to try and agree personal terms. Apparently, he wants £300,000 a week wages, which would make him the highest paid outfield player, however, which could cause some controversy. And then Dean Jones also said that Manchester United are cautious about the possible deal for Varane and certainly do not want to be seen as being rejected by the players. But we are looking at other options. We can't get Varane, but he believes United will get Varane. He's basically hinting. And Jules Koundé of Sevilla has fallen down the priority list at Manchester United. So we were told a month ago it's Varane, then if not Koundé, it's now Varane, if not Pau Torres, if not, oh God, oh God, oh God. So I think it's really important we get Varane because the only other centre-back out there that I think is at Varane's level is Koundé in the future or Koulibaly. So if we don't get Varane, it's Pau Torres or some awful centre-back. So I think it's really, really important Manchester United get Varane. Spain have missed a penalty. Busquets has hit the post. That is the update in our game. Jim says, I think we can get a Kanji. Seems to be a great fit in centre-back. I watched Switzerland in Euros, but the man is just someone we can use. He's got pace of Kanji. To be fair. Would I take a... This is the thing, okay. I don't want to go off tournament form to say we should sign a player. Because Shaqiri right now, you think he's one of the best players in the world. Like, let's be honest. Like, I love watching tournaments and looking at players that I already know. So, like, when I watch the tournament, I look at Varane, I look at Koundé, but I don't like to watch a tournament and be like, that's who Manchester United have signed. Because Ruben, if you go off tournaments, Harry Maguire is 10 times the centre-back Ruben Diaz is. You know, if you go off tournaments, Bruno Fernandes is an average player. You know, I think, you know, it's very, very hard to go off international tournaments to judge whether that is the player for you. But, yeah, honestly. But Spain are missing a penalty. Who is in goal for Spain? It's not David De Gea, is it? So David De Gea doesn't have to sit for another penalty shootout. I mean, De Gea at saving penalties. Oh my God, like that is mad. You know, I can't believe De Gea didn't save any of those penalties. Any questions for me? Please do pop them down below in the live chat. I'm aware that you guys are watching the Spain-Switzerland game, so there's not as many people watching as normal. But any questions for me? Pop them down below in the live chat. Of course, subscribe to the channel. And all of that. We will talk and have a little bit of a Euro chat. So whoever wins out of Spain or Switzerland will play whoever wins out of Italy or Belgium, which we'll find out tonight in the first semi-final. And then the second semi-final should be England versus either Denmark or Czech Republic. And we've already been in Czech Republic. I kind of want Denmark to win just because of what happened to Christian Eriksen. I think it'd be really nice for them to get to a semi-final and stuff. I think like England, for me, England are already in the semi-final. You know, if we don't beat Ukraine, it's kind of like losing to Iceland. You know, that's my kind of situation. Unai Simon in goal. I don't get why he plays over De Gea personally. I really don't. I really, really don't. I'm just going to take a quick swig of water, so just give me a second. Summer, simply brilliant, says Diego. I've heard Summer is having a very, very good game. This is when United will just get linked to Summer. You know, player has a good game, the next day they're linked to United. This is when we get linked to Jan Summer. You just know it, but apparently he's been absolutely fantastic and all of that. But they've already missed a penalty each, Spain and Switzerland. So interesting penalty shootout going on, I have to say. But obviously more news about Manchester United is Man United will listen to offers for Eric Bailly and Phil Jones. However, we gave Eric Bailly a new contract. This is what I don't get. We give Eric Bailly a new contract, but now we want to sell him. Like, this club, stupid. And Dean Jones also said that right back is an area Manchester United will look into as well. Kieran Trippier is not currently looking at a feasible option. The club will revisit that in the coming weeks, but if they can't negotiate over his valuation. So I think Kieran Trippier to Manchester United is pretty much off. I think there was a point when Kieran Trippier to Man United was close, but I think Atletico Madrid are playing hardball, saying we won't give you Kieran Trippier unless you pay over £20 million. And look, if we weren't willing to pay £20 million for Sumer, who's just gone to Leicester, if we weren't willing to pay £20 million for Cooper Miners, that's going to Atalanta, I'm not paying $20 million for Kieran Trippier when I think we need a CDM more than a backup right back. So I do think James Tavernier of Rangers, if that's how you say his name, looks like the most likely right back option, if you want my honest opinion. And Dean Jones says the early signs suggest it will be difficult for Manchester United to get Declan Rice, and they believe that Declan Rice wants Chelsea. So I think the Declan Rice situation is if we sell Pogba, we could get Declan Rice, but I don't think United are going to get Declan Rice and all that. Now, Camavinga, guys. Dean Jones obviously talked about Camavinga, and he said Manchester United could pursue an up-and-coming player that they can mould, and they are interested in Camavinga, but only steps up if his valuation is dropped by it. Varan's current price tag is more than they're paying for Sancho. This is the situation. Now, it's believed that Man United can get Camavinga for £40 million. And we know we have an interest in Camavinga. Tier 1 journalists have confirmed Man United have a very, very strong interest in Camavinga. And Dean Jones says that, Man United would like to go for Camavinga if his price tag is dropped. Rennes want to see if they can get 80, 90 million, but because he's got 1 year left on his contract and it doesn't look like Camavinga is going to stay at Rennes, United could get Camavinga for like 40 million quid. And I think if Camavinga is available for 40 million quid and he's told Rennes he wants to leave, he won't renew. Rennes are in a situation where they can't really get more than £50 million for a player with 1 year left on their deal, or they lose him for a free next summer. And then I think it's between Man United and PSG to get Camavinga. The only situation is Sancho 75 million, around 40 million. We have to, I think, sell a player to get Camavinga. I mean, I don't think we have to, but I think that's what United would expect to do. Only 31 likes needed for 100 likes, so please do hit that like button if you haven't already, and subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football. The latest on Camavinga is United want Camavinga if he's a reasonable price. So I think Camavinga to Manchester United depends on his price, but with 1 year left on his deal, I think it's likely that United could get this Camavinga deal over the line. If you just joined the live stream, by the way, I'm talking about all the latest sort of United news. We've been talking about Varane transfer close. All the credible sources say they believe Varane will sign for Manchester United. We're talking about the future of certain players. Solskjaer's been getting a 3-year new deal. Declan Rice is wanted, and we might try and use Lingard to lower his price. However, signing Declan Rice depends on the future of Paul Pogba or Donny van de Beek. Mata is staying. Lee Grant is staying. Those two were announced today, by the way. Amad Diallo looks like he's going on loan. United want to sell Phil Jones, but he could be unsellable because, I mean, let's be honest, who wants to buy him? Delow's future. Delow will leave Man United if we can get a permanent deal. We do not want to loan Delow out. And I'm quite happy at keeping Delow as a backup right back. I think for Delow's career, he'd want to leave because he'd get game time, and I think he's a good player. But I think, Delow could stay at Manchester United, and Man United's priority now is get Varane and get Pogba and Bruno to sign new contracts. And it's clear what United are building. Next season, it could be De Gea, it could be Wan-Bissaka, it could be Luke Shaw, it could be Varane, it could be Maguire as the back five, it could be a CDM, it could be Pogba, it could be Bruno, Sancho on the right, Rashi on the left, Cavani up top. It's clear that Man United are trying to build something big and all of that. Spain score and Spain are through. So, Jamie, Spain win. Spain in the semi-final, guys. Support old Switzerland. Apparently, Switzerland were very, very unlucky not to go through and felt mugged off, guys. Obviously, I only watched the first 40 minutes of the game because then I went live because I was like, oh, you know what? I might as well do a live. So I feel a little bit bad for Spain if they didn't go through because I'm sure, I like Spain. I like Switzerland. God, what is wrong with me today? I feel a little bit bad for Switzerland, not going through. But you know what? Fair play to Spain. Spain versus who was Spain? Spain will play the winner of Italy-Belgium in the semi-final. Who do you think is going to win tonight, Italy or Belgium? That game kicks off in 20 minutes, and I will end the live about 8 p.m. and I'll probably watch that game and give my thoughts on it. But what are your score predictions for Belgium, Italy? I'm really, really interested to see that actually. I know this is a Man United live stream, but actually let's have a look at the Italy-Belgium team news. Let's have a look at the Italy-Belgium team news. Okay, so playing for Belgium, Courtois, Alderweireld, Vermaelen and Vertonghen as a back three. They've got Meunier, Tielemans, Witsel and Thorgan Hazard in midfield. De Bruyne is back from injury with Lukaku and Doku and all of that. Eden Hazard has been dropped for Belgium. Maybe he's injured. And for Italy, they've got Insigne, Immobile and Chisea as a front three. And now that is a very, very good front three. Barella, Jorginho and Verratti in midfield. So Locatelli dropped. Chiellini and Bonucci as the two centre-backs for Italy, Spinazzola and Di Lorenzo as the full-backs, probably didn't say that right, and Donnarumma in goal. So, yeah, Locatelli is on the bench, I think Eden Hazard must be injured. Eden Hazard is injured. But I think, you know what? I think I fancy Italy, believe it or not. Because I look at I just look at that Italian front three of Immobile, Insigne, and Zizia, and you know what? I think I fancy Italy. People saying 3-1 win to Italy is their prediction. Which striker would they take at Man United? Erling Haaland, but we're not going to get him. Like, let's be honest. You know, I'd like Erling Haaland, but you know, I'm not the first to admit United probably won't sign Erling Haaland. I think. Do you know what though? I think we're going to get a striker next summer. I think we will get a striker next summer. Because if you look at it, this summer is about centre back, right wing. So right wing's done. We're going to get a centre back. We're probably going to get Varane. That's about to be done. And then it's probably a backup right back and midfield this summer. I think the third signing is either a backup right back or a midfielder this summer, if you look at Man United's plans this summer. But next summer, I believe Man United will go for a striker. And now next summer, Erling Haaland has a £60 million release clause in place. The only problem is when there's competition to sign players, Man United don't always get that player. You know, when there's competition, and I think Chelsea will go all out to sign Erling Haaland. If they can't get him this summer, I think Chelsea will be desperate to get Erling Haaland next summer. So as much as I like Haaland, I believe United can sign a striker next summer. But if I was going to buy one, I'd probably go for Erling Haaland just because of youth, and we know he links up with Sancho. Well, imagine, do you know what's sad? Do you know what's really, really sad? Is that we could have signed Erling Haaland for 20 million, and instead we spent 15 million on Gallo. We wanted to save £5 million, so our club got a Gallo over Erling Haaland and blamed Mino Raiola. Maybe you know, I understand blaming Mino Raiola, but you know that pisses me off. We saved £5 million and we got a Gallo over Erling Haaland. Maybe Erling Haaland wouldn't be the player he was if he comes to United, because he'd probably get benched for bloody Gallo. You know, with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer not liking to give these young players too much of a chance, but that really, really annoyed me. Like you don't even understand. Like, we could have got Erling Haaland and Bruno Fernandes in his January transfer window, and that would have been the best January transfer window of all time, because Bruno's been our best signing in the last 10 years. Imagine if we got Haaland. That would have been absolutely mad. Any comments for me? Any questions for me, please do. I'll pop them down below in the comments. We've obviously got the Belgium game up next. Belgium versus Italy and all of that. More reports coming in from Spain saying Manchester United are very close to reaching an agreement for Rafael Varane and are expected to pay £50 million for the France international. So more news coming in saying that VARANE to Manchester United is very close from some very, very good journalists. And apparently, according to Foot Mercato, that PSG are trying to make a big blow this summer with Pogba, Ronaldo and Messi among those who haven't extended their contracts. So PSG are going all out this summer. You know, PSG got Hakimi, PSG got Ramos. They think they've got Wijnaldum. They got Donnarumma. I think PSG would like Paul Pogba. But as Fabrizio Romano said on his podcast, now Fabrizio Romano is doing a Twitch podcast most evenings. Fabrizio Romano says that Paul Pogba won't leave Man United this summer. Fabrizio Romano says it's very, very likely. He says it's very, very unlikely that Paul Pogba will leave Man United this summer. The question is, will he sign a new contract or not? There is talks going on for keep Pogba. So the situation at Manchester United is Sancho signed, Heaton's done. Varane looks like it could be done in the next week. You know, hopefully United can wrap up this deal. One more player and Pogba will not leave this summer. That is the situation at Manchester United right now in terms of transfer news and all of that. If you just joined the live stream, all the Tier 1 journalists are saying Man United are going all out for Rafael Varane. There's no indication Varane will stay at Real Madrid. Man United are working to get an agreement with Varane. This deal could be done in the next 2 weeks. So these Tier 1 Madrid journalists are saying a deal for Rafael Varane and Manchester United could be done in the next 2 weeks. So guys, massively, massively keep an eye out on the Varane news. And a French outlet that I'm not too aware of says Edouard Camavinga has not made his mind up about his future. Rennes insists that they have yet to receive a single offer from him, but extension negotiations appear to be a dead end as he's probably going to depart Rennes. So I think Rennes might be forced into selling Edouard Camavinga this summer because they won't want to lose him for a free. Rennes is a team that definitely needs money. So, you know, I think, you know, once we got Varane, and I think one of the reasons we went for Varane is because he's got 1 year left on this deal and it's very, very easy deal to do. You know, we can get Varane 50 million euros. I think United, you know, we're getting linked to Declan Rice today, but I think once this Varane's deal is over the line, I think United could see if they can get Camavinga for 40 million quid because he's got 1 year left on his deal. Rennes will not want to lose him on a free. You know, I think, and you know, even if we lose Paul Pogba on a free, at least we've got Camavinga in and he has a season with Paul Pogba because it's pretty obvious Paul Pogba's staying at United for another year. I wouldn't be surprised if United actually went in for Edouard Camavinga. I know that Fabrizio Romano obviously said Man United's priority is Sancho, then Varane, and then a midfielder, but that depends on the future of Paul Pogba and Donny van de Beek. Now, Fabrizio Romano told us we will sign Sancho and a centre-back with Varane being our first choice. That is almost done and out of the way, and he said that we do really want a midfielder, but it depends on outgoings, how much money to raise in the midfield situation. I think let's get Varane done in the next 2 weeks. All the tier 1 journalists are saying Varane to Man United could be a done deal in the next 2 weeks, but in 2 weeks' time we'll probably know what Varane's doing. Pogba stays. I think get Camavinga in because £40 million. He's not going to stay at Rennes. We can beat PSG to it. We've got Camavinga, Pogba in the pivot, Varane, Maguire at the back, Luke Shaw, Wan-Bissaka as your fullbacks, and your front three of Sancho, Cavani, Rashford. We'd be in a fantastic situation. So hopefully United go out and do that and stuff. PSG equals Big Head FC. It says George Louise. Any questions for me regarding Manchester United and transfer news? Please do put them down below in the live chat. I'll try and answer as many questions as possible. And if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe to Alice Talks Football for daily Manchester United content. If you want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news, please do subscribe to the channel. Could have had Jude Bellingham as well. He looks quite talented. United missed out on Haaland, Jude Bellingham, and Grealish last summer that we all could have signed. Oh no, well, Haaland in the winter, in the January window. But yeah, all in 2020 we missed out on those. David De Gea cost Spain in penalties so much, United better realise it sooner. I mean, David De Gea wasn't playing, so not really sure what you're on about, to be fair. For a player like Varane, with his quality and attributes, CV experience, his prime for that sort of fee is a no-brainer. Yeah, Varane for 50 million euros. Like, there's reports that Varane's going to cost us 70, 80 million pounds. All the really reliable journalists, the tier 1 journalists, say that Man United can get Varane for 50 million euros, which is about 45 million pounds. Less than that, I think it's 42 million pounds. United could sign Varane for 45 million pounds. He's won a World Cup, he's won a Champions League, he's won everything he can win in football. Varane has. He's quick, he's good, he's tall, he's physical. It will go great next to Maguire. Boom, boom, boom. Varane for 50 million pounds, whether you like it or not, it is a bargain. And you know what? You have to give Murta credit. We got Sancho for 73 million pounds wrapped up before pre-season. Apparently, we're going to get Varane in the next 2 weeks for 45 million pounds wrapped up before pre-season. Murta could be getting Varane and Sancho all his first 2 choice transfer targets before pre-season, and then all we know is Camavinga won't extend. We beat PSG to him, and we could get Camavinga for 40 million pounds. That is the best case scenario this transfer window, which would be absolutely mad. George Louise says you spent 75 million on Sancho and you're calling Chelsea, City, and PSG money clubs. Get real. The difference between Manchester United, PSG, and Chelsea, and that a lot of people don't understand, is every penny Man United spend comes out our pocket. So FFP didn't affect Man United. The reason, Chelsea had to abide by FFP rules. PSG had to abide by FFP rules, and so did Manchester City, which stopped them spending more because FFP's, was a rule. Now FFP's gone, but Man United would never even have to worry about FFP because every penny that Man United spend comes from fans buying kits. It doesn't come from the owners. The difference between Man United, Chelsea, and City is that the difference between Manchester United and PSG, City, and Chelsea is that their money they spend does come from owners' investment. Man United's owners have taken over $1 billion out of the club. In the same time, Manchester City's owners have invested $1 billion in the club. That is the difference. So yes, United spend a lot of money, but we do generate more money than any other team in football. But we don't spend, we should spend more for the amount we generate. And, owners take money out of the club. And I think that's the frustration. But yeah, if you understand my point there. Miss Alice, do you think we will not only sign Sancho and Varane? I think, look, if you want me my prediction, Sancho's done. We signed Sancho. All the tier 1 journalists and all the credible journalists say that they believe Manchester United will sign Varane. That is very, very likely. So I think Sancho's done. Varane's going to be done in the next 2 weeks, going off what I've been told by tier 1 journalists. There's a possibility it falls through, but it's going to be Sancho's going to be Varane, and I think there'll be one more player. So Sancho and Varane, I think Sancho and Varane probably in the next 2 weeks. Well, Sancho's already done. I think Varane could be done in the next 2 weeks, and then I think we'll make one more signing. And I think it'll be Camavinga or I think it'll be Tavernier. If I was going to predict the first signing, because with Camavinga, 1 year left on this deal, if we can get him, I think we'll go for him. Even though we were told we won't buy a midfielder unless Paul Pogba or Donny leaves or we get money and outs, I think because he's got 1 year left on this deal, you can get a player like Camavinga for 40 million pounds. I don't think Man United would miss out on that. And I think this is a summer where Man United need to spend because we finished second. We've got an opportunity to build on something, but also you've got to think the pressure on the Glazers right now. The reason we brought Sancho this summer is because of the Glazers out protests and the shirt sales falling and problems with the sponsorships. Man United are going to go all out this summer because they need to win fans back. We're still Glazers out, but the Glazers are going to go all out to try and win fans back. So yeah, I believe that once Varane is done, or if we don't get Varane, we will get a centre back. We will get a centre back no matter what happens with Varane. I think I wouldn't be surprised if we go for a Camavinga or a backup right back. It's pretty obvious. It's Sancho, Varane, and then we want to go for a centre. We want to go for a backup right back or a CDM. If I was going to predict how the transfer window is going. Any questions for me? Please do put them down below in the live chat. And if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football for daily Manchester United content. If you want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news throughout the window, please do subscribe for the channel. I do live streams every evening, keeping you up to date on all the latest Manchester United news that's come out today. And what has come out today is that credible journalists are saying that Varane and Manchester United are in talks. Varane will not stay at Real Madrid, and it's believed that Man United could sign Varane in the next 2 weeks. You know, tier 1 journalists, when it comes to Real Madrid news, are saying that they believe Man United are going to close in on Varane deal and sign for 50 million euros. Declan Rice is wanted by Manchester United, but it depends on the future of Paul Pogba and Donny van de Beek. SOLSKJAER will be getting a new 3-year deal. Mata is now staying at United. He signed a 1-year contract extension. Diallo will likely go on loan because of this league grant and signed a 1-year contract extension. Apparently, Phil Jones is unsellable. Delos's future depends on if we can get a permanent deal for him. And Pogba and BRUNO new contract is the priority. So we're working on a deal for Sancho, but we're also working on getting Paul Pogba and BRUNO FERNANDES to sign a new deal at Manchester United. And David Ornstein, a very, very reliable journalist. He was the first English journalist to report on Sancho to Man United. David Ornstein said Sancho was a done deal before Fabrizio Romano. And David Ornstein said today there's a very good chance of Varane to Manchester United happening, which is big, big news. And then Konstantin Ecker, who works from the BBC, said that Manchester United mean business this transfer window. They're not here to mess around. And we saw that with the Sancho deal. We got it done. We didn't mess around too much with it. He says he believes that Rafael Varane will join Manchester United. He believes it will happen. So two very, very credible journalists saying that they believe Varane to Manchester United will happen. And they say Man United aren't here to mess around this window. And for a change, because we've had 4 or 5 shit transfer windows, you know, we've got Sancho for a pretty decent price. We've gone straight in for Varane. It's not like we've got Sancho and the Glazers are like that will please the fans. Let's get no one else. We've gone from going Sancho to go straight in for Varane and then possibly Camavinga. So United definitely mean business this transfer window. So very, very exciting news. Who do you think Chelsea will sign? Just curious to know. I think Chelsea want Haaland, but I think because Sancho's gone to United, it's going to be hard for Chelsea to get Haaland. I believe Chelsea will go all out for a striker or someone. You know what? It wouldn't surprise me if Chelsea hijacked Varane last minute. I think Chelsea will go in for a centre-back, and I think they'll go in for a striker. But I'm not too aware on the Chelsea news. Maybe they'll go all out for Declan Rice, but I think that was more of a Lampard signing. I couldn't tell you because I really thought that Chelsea was going to sign not Camavinga. Chelsea was going to sign Hakimi, but honestly, I could not tell you who Chelsea are going to sign. But I know you want a striker, and Chelsea are Chelsea. Like if Chelsea want a player, they will get it done. You know what? It wouldn't surprise me if Chelsea went for a Camavinga or someone. But I'd probably say regarding Chelsea, I think they might get Haaland over the line. I think if Chelsea want a player, they'll pay the money. Maybe they were heading to a Dharma trial and all that, but I think it's pretty clear Chelsea are in for a striker this summer. If I was going to predict a little bit of Chelsea news and all of that. This guy says that's what he believes will happen at Chelsea. And yeah, they're the players they're pretty much being linked to. And of course, for all the best Manchester United daily news, subscribe to Alice Talks Football. Alexander Hackler says, assuming we get our dream transfer window with Sancho, Varane and Camavinga and renewing contract with Pogba, what do you think about our chances of winning trophies next season? If the transfer, look, if we sign Sancho, if we sign Varane and we sign Camavinga and Pogba stays, I think United could win the title next season. The question, I think it's on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think maybe if City signed Grealish and Kane, you would expect City to win it. But I think if we're lucky with injuries, we keep Pogba, we get Camavinga, we get Varane. I expect Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, so even if we don't win a title, to be within 5 points of a Premier League title, to be within 5 points of one. I think we have to comfortably be in top 4 and be in a title race, you know, where we only get told we're not going to win the Premier League title in the last game or the second last game of the season. I believe we can win a title. Will Ole Gunnar Solskjaer win you a title? That's the question. He is quite naive with subs. He still chooses McFred over Donny van de Beek. He moves Pogba on the left so he can play McFred. You've got to remember all of this. Whether I am Ole in, but I think next summer we have to win a trophy. No matter what happens in the transfer window, you have to win a trophy next summer. United, you have to. But I think yes, if that happened, I'd expect us to. Even if we didn't win the Premier League, I'd expect us to get to a Champions League semi-final, or win an FA Cup at least at bare minimum. I would expect. Well, Glazers out, of course. Exactly. Keep hitting that Glazers out. Comment Glazers out down below in the chat. The game is about to kick off between Italy and Belgium. So I probably will end the live stream in the next 5 minutes. Let you guys go watch the Italy-Belgium game. But any last minute questions for me, please do pop them down below in the chat before I do the roundup of the transfer news today. Of course, subscribe and all of that good stuff. I posted a video earlier today talking about how Manchester United would look if we signed both Sancho and Varane and all of that. And I did a very, very good video on that. So please do check out my recent video if you have not already, talking about the future of Varane, Sancho, and all of that. Now we want a title. We need to use 200 million minimum and all of that. We have so many players to sell to raise funds. I agree. We want not only Sancho and a centre-back. I agree. We need a CDM and all of that. But yes, thank you everybody for tuning into the live stream. The summary on today's live stream is that a lot of tier 1 journalists regarding Real Madrid news say that VARANE to Manchester United is very, very likely, and they believe that will happen. We'll probably know in 2 weeks if this deal is done. People predict that in less than 2 weeks, Varane could be a Manchester United player. So definitely keep an eye on VARANE to Manchester United news, because you never know, next week he could be a Real Madrid player and stay. But definitely keep an eye on VARANE to Manchester United news, because all the tier 1 journalists say that they believe this deal could happen. Obviously, Matta's staying, that was news. Solskjaer new contract. And with Diallo on loan, we covered that. The Declan Rice streams, we covered that. But thank you everybody for tuning into today's live stream. If you had any questions for me that I was unable to answer in this live stream, just subscribe down below with bell notifications on, and any questions that I didn't answer in today's live stream, comment it in tomorrow's live stream and I will try and answer it then. So please subscribe. Thanks for everybody for watching. Share the video, and I'll see you.